In this video, I'm going to try to answer some of the questions some of my subscribers have been asking me of, how do I buy and sell gold and silver? Because, more and more people are becoming aware of the fact that the fiat dollar is becoming less and less valuable. It's being debased intentionally, and so they're getting out of the dollar and into real money, precious metals, and taking physical possession of it, not just buying an ETF traded fund. So I'm here today with not only a reputable dealer, but my personal friend, Dean Sherrill, and Dean is going to be explaining how to test for gold and silver using acid, magnet, weight. So there's different things that you can do at home to test it, but it takes years of experience. You just don't get a diploma in how to test for gold. So we're here with Dean.
Hi, I'm Dean Sherrill of Midwest Rare Coins, and I'm here today to talk a little bit about buying and selling scrap gold. And there's been a lot of information out there about that recently. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but I'll kind of give you a few hints on what to look for. This would be your typical batch of scrap gold that would walk in the door. Some of the stuff is good, some of it's not so good, so we have to look at it very carefully. The first thing you want to look at in any piece of scrap gold, are there any markings that kind of give you an idea of what carat gold it would be or what provenance. And this would be a piece that has no markings whatsoever. So then you'll have to proceed to testing. On a piece like this where it is marked 10 karat, that's very beneficial, but you still need to know if it's actually 10 karat. A lot of pieces that are not gold. This is another little necklace that again has no mark on it. As you can see, it's magnetic. Neither gold nor its alloys are magnetic. So this is a huge warning sign. This would not be gold. Gold is typically alloyed with copper, nickel, or silver, none of which are magnetic. On the flip side of that, just because something is not magnetic does not mean that it is gold. Brass, nickel, copper, aluminum, pewter, all those are not magnetic. So you can exclude something from being gold by being magnetic, but you cannot determine that it is gold. So your next step then, if you're trying to figure this out, is to use a nitric acid test, which comes in differing strengths. That's 10 karat nitric acid, 14, this would be for 18 karat, and this would be also for 18 karat. This would be the silver testing solution. So on this, since this is a class ring, probably start with the 10 karat nitric acid. Normally I would do this over a sink. We're doing this for demonstration purposes. Put one little drop in there and see if, usually you'd test on a gold piece right where you'd have some wear. And if you have no wear on the piece anywhere, you can do a small file cut and just see if there's any reaction. And with that, there's no reaction at all. And then we'll cut and go to a 14 karat acid. Next we would test with the next higher acid, which would be 14 karat. Again, just a little drop at a wear point. And again, no reaction whatsoever. So that tells us this is at least 14 karat. Now your next step would be to test with 18 karat acid. Probably not in a class ring would it be 18 karat, but you would typically go ahead and buy this as 14 karat gold. Our next step in buying a piece of scrap gold, now that you've determined this is at least 14 karat, you'll get a weight on the item. Zero your scale. Always buy scrap gold by the penny weight. Every scrap dealer in the country uses by the penny weight. There are 20 penny weights in 1 troy ounce. You do not use avoirdupois ounces in precious metals, troy ounces. So you weigh it and find out how many penny weights. Typically most jewelry stores sell new jewelry by the gram. But scrap gold's done by the penny weight in Old English measure. And so this would weigh 8.0 penny weights. And then you use a formula to figure out what you're paying per penny weight. Today we have $1,600 gold. 0.0272 times 1,600 gives you the full melt value, which is $43.52 that you would get sending it into a refinery. Now you have shipping costs, and obviously you want to make a little profit, so some places will pay 50% of that. The more honest places will pay 70 to 80% of that. So today let's figure that at 75%. So today I'd be paying $32 a pennyweight for 14 karat gold. So the $32 times 8 pennyweights, $256 would be the value for this ring today. Where you have to be careful is a piece like this that is marked that it's gold, weighs a few pennyweights. Right there's the aurum, the Latin word for gold. But the major problem here is it will pass an acid test. But if you do a little file, you'll find out it will not pass an acid test, and then highly magnetic. This would have little or no gold content. The little gold coin we see here is from China. And again, marked 999, 1/10 ounce. One determining factor here is we can again go to the scale.
Hi, you've reached Midwest Rare Coins. We're open.
And this should weigh exactly 1/10 of an ounce, and that would be of a troy ounce, and it's exactly 0.100. If the weight were off on this, if it weighed 0.09 or 0.11, that would be a huge warning factor. You would want to look at the item very carefully because the mint is typically within 1,000th or 10,000ths of an ounce in accuracy. We're going to do an acid test on a piece that is suspect. It has no markings, whether it's gold plate or gold filled on the clasp where there'd typically be a marking. So we'll take a little drop of 14 karat acid and just see if there's a reaction there. And almost immediately you see it turning green and a strong reaction, the bubbling. Obviously not 14 or even 10 karat gold. 10 karat gold would have still had a reaction, but a much slower reaction, typically turning a little brown with a few bubbles. Right now we have the acid just eating away at the base metal there. Well, there's several different ways to buy gold bullion, and my preference with someone investing for the first time is to keep it simple and stick with the bread and butter items, the easily recognizable 1 ounce gold coins that are an even weight. So here we have the 1 ounce gold Krugerrand. What it has going for it is they've made it for 50 years. Everybody's heard of a Krugerrand. What it doesn't have going for it, it's not pure gold. It is alloyed. It still contains an ounce of gold, so the whole coin, if you put it on a jeweler's scale, you'll find out it weighs like 1.04 of an ounce gold. It is clearly marked it's 1 ounce of fine gold. Typically these sell for $40, $50, $60 over spot, so you can get these at a very reasonable premium. The United States in 1986 started making their own bullion gold coin, and it's the 1 ounce gold eagle. They also make a 1 ounce gold buffalo now that carries a little bit bigger premium, and these sell for spot plus 70 today. And then Canada has a pure 999 fine gold bullion coin. You always want to handle coins by the edges. And it's exactly 1 ounce of gold and is marked as such. These are what I prefer that customers get into rather than odd weight foreign gold coins. This is a Mexican 20 peso, nothing against it, but nowhere on it does it even say that it's a gold coin. And it's an odd weight. It has 0.4823 of an ounce of gold. So typically I would want my new customers to stay away from this. You can get it at a smaller premium, a little harder to sell. When it's time to sell, typically be discounted. And I like I said, we want to keep it simple. For those not wanting to spend $1,600 plus on an ounce of gold, there are the fractional gold coins, the 10th and quarter ounce. But as you go to the smaller sizes, you typically pay a little larger premium. So you're going to pay for getting the smaller size. In other words, 10 10th ounce gold eagles will cost you more per ounce than 1 1 ounce gold eagle.
Great.
Now, do you have any questions for me, Mike?
What's that over there?
And I'll
advise you.
I'll
He
be
has
putting my gold
security.
back in the safe now.
All right, thanks, Dean.
Sure.
Okay.